Today is Wednesday, October 31st, 2018. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Survivor David vs. Goliath, Episode 6.
That's right. We're in Week 6. This episode is titled, Aren't Brochachos Just Adorable? That was courtesy of Dan, I believe. It wasn't 100% clear, but I think it was him. The back of his head was to the camera. But this was after Christian had hand-fed John some food. So that's what queued that up. Previously on Survivor, at the Jabeni tribe, it was time to go to a tribal council. The Davids were outnumbered, but Natalie's abrasive, I almost said abusive, Natalie's abrasive personality did her in, and Angelina, Probst tells us that Angelina tried to con Natalie out of that jacket, but Angelina was left empty-handed. So they just go straight to it was a con. All right, we're back at the Jabeni camp. It's the next day, day 16 in the morning, it appears like, because they're lounging there, and they're laughing a little bit about Angelina's attempt to get that jacket. Lyrsa says that she survived tribal council, for which she's very happy and thankful.
But you notice the look on Nick's face, even though they were laughing, and she was, curled toward him and patting him and that kind of stuff. He didn't look like he was very happy about anything they were talking about.
Nor did Lyrsa.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, neither one of them are buying what Angelina's selling there.
And I thought, no, I think that I thought they weren't any of them were buying it, but then they confirmed that when they gathered together, the other three, and talked about how she'd cut any of their throats.
Yeah, and even Solo in our confessional, Lyrsa just described Angelina as a petty character, and that she treated the jacket more important than her. Angelina tells us that it was a bittersweet parting at Tribal Council. It was bitter she didn't get the jacket, and sweet that Natalie's finally gone.
Well, and she does have a sweater, so it's not like she, it's not a jacket. It might not be as windproof, but at least she has something.
Yeah, obviously it's not doing the job, otherwise she wouldn't have gone that far out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, then over to Tiva. Christian's trying to use the spear and flippers. I'm sorry, Christian, but I had no faith in you. I thought you were probably going to lose the Hawaiian sling.
Yeah, that was the first thing you said. He's going to lose the sling. Watch.
He's going to lose the sling. But he didn't get any fish either.
I was thinking he might hurt himself, but good on him for trying. He got that Survivor experience. So, good deal. And we got to see his squashed nose there in the mask.
Well, and I can't fault him for not being able to walk well in the waves with the flippers, because I don't do that well either, as we know.
It can be challenging for anyone.
That's true. Stop laughing. Stop laughing.
I said it could be challenging for anyone.
No, but I know what you're thinking of. I don't do well, I admit it.
So Christian's attempt to leverage the spring-loaded murder device did not bear any fruit. He says if his tribe's counting on him to bring food in, they're going to be starving. Off to the reward challenge.
Yeah, that was fast, huh?
John was giving some stern looks in Mike's direction. I think it really unsettled Mike when they realized that Natalie had been voted out when they first came in, when Jabeni entered.
You wouldn't think, well, I guess John did like her, or at least want to use her, but was anybody else concerned?
Well, I think Mike really went to the heart of it. It brought it home to him. He's put the whole Goliath alliance in jeopardy by going in that direction, and gave away the numbers advantage and brought it to a tie. So everyone's got to, okay, so like Alec is just a goof, but now you guys went ahead and let him draw even with us. What are you thinking?
So there's 7 Goliath right now, right?
Yeah, they started 7-7, 14 in the episode. All right, at this reward challenge, you got one person that's attached to a lovely bunch of coconuts that are quite heavy. And so they have to carry the coconuts out through the water. They got to get out of the water, and they got one person attached by a rope to that, and that person's got to climb over an obstacle and go over a balance beam and retrieve rings that they're going to toss.
But that person doesn't have to carry the coconuts.
Right. They just got to manage to walk, which Gabby had a little trouble.
And Larissa was behind the 3 other people, and they were carrying the coconuts, and she was still behind them in the water.
Well, she's tiny.
Because her
little
like
legs.
Me, her little legs are short.
Yeah.
So,
Yep, she's going to be bringing up the rear on that one for sure.
And I thought, oh no.
Definitely a worthwhile reward if the tribes can bring this out. Those kebabs looked really good. So you get, how many was it for the first winner?
10.
10 kebabs.
So 2 apiece?
Yeah, for a 5-person tribe, yeah. 2 apiece, and then, what was it? It was 2 kebabs for second place, and then, of course,
2 kebabs.
The third tribe gets nothing.
But the first tribe also gets herbs and spices and that knife set.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff there, wasn't it?
I think there was a couple of big pots. One great big Dutch oven type pot, cast iron, and then a big cast iron frying pan.
Nice.
So that would be huge out there.
Kara and Alison are chosen to sit out for Vuku and Tiva, respectively. But Tiva and Vuku get off to a great start, and Gabby does okay. She stumbles a little in the water, but I think there was a hole there that she stepped into, because I'm pretty sure you can see John step in and struggle a little bit coming out of the water there too. Yeah. Those props choose to highlight Gabby's.
Yeah, both Alec and Gabby did really well.
Yep. Jabeni, not surprisingly, in last as they're in the beginning of the challenge. Well,
and then Larissa once again had trouble climbing over the ladder.
Yeah.
Very slow, and then she gets there. She has to go back and straighten the rope because the rope wasn't right.
Probst describes it as a disaster for Jabeni. Big lead for Vuku at that point.
Yeah, you didn't think they had a chance at that point, but then they gather everything up, and what do? Jump right back in there.
Yep, they get it, even though they're having all that trouble. So Nick starts tossing, and he's doing good. Dan gets a ring, and for some reason, Vuku's just having a ton of trouble.
Yeah, Alec just couldn't deliver. Couldn't deliver at all.
Yeah, I think Davie got the one that we got to see for them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they ended up being the losers.
Yeah,
Tiva wins again.
Yeah, Dan and John, they both got 2, and then Nick got all 4 for Jabeni.
Okay, and this is where, we kind of get the first clue here from Mike after this challenge. Is like, oh, well, maybe we should keep Angelina over Larissa because she did so poorly there. And I was like, no, because I had Angelina go.
Well, and we also got a comment before Mike. We got one from Carl, and he said, at least it's not tribal after the challenge was over. It wasn't a confessional. He was just standing there after the challenge was over, and I thought, that's good because I've got Alec going, and so I want to hear that.
I think Carl's lost more weight than anyone, hasn't he? He looks so puny to me. He just lost.
Yeah, you think it's hitting him hard? I guess I didn't notice. He came in pretty thin, so.
Really? Oh, he looks like he's lost most to me, but I notice it more when I look at him. Always.
Interesting.
The others don't look like they've lost, all that. I mean, yes, some. And, but, Elizabeth had more to lose because she, put some weight on to go out there. But anyway, I just started thinking Carl looked pretty puny.
Okay. Yeah, like you were saying, Mike's concern after that stink eye he got from John and Dan, it really started to sink in that the other Goliaths might not be happy with his choice.
Well, you'll have to take me back and show me that because I don't think that registered with me.
Okay. I did comment on it, but sometimes we're furiously taking notes and we don't have time to look up.
Or I tuned you out. One of those.
Could be. Okay, we're back after the challenge at the Tiva camp there on day 16. It's time to feast. Dan tells us they won, and it was by a landslide, just as they're used to experiencing. He misses Kara, but he's playing a great game, so he's really happy. And then we get to see Dan choose to eat a pepper, which he admits is probably a bad idea, and sure enough it is. Gabby tries to warn him, stay away from the little ones, they're the spiciest. But nope, he lights it up. And this is where we get the title, while they're enjoying their first feast there, with their reward, with the kebabs and all the other goodies, where you see Christian hand-feeding John. And both of them admit that that's a first.
Well, and
first for Christian and a first for John.
Yeah. And Christian's just really, going on about loving being part of a group. Mm-hmm. That I guess that's a unique experience for him. The
inclusion has been something he's wanted his whole life, he tells us, yeah.
So, they also made it very obvious to Gabby.
I wanted to comment on that, too. He credits himself with reaching that point.
Okay.
Did you notice that? It's just like a lifetime of self-improvement has finally paid off, and this is how he got here. It's not like the other guys chose to include him. It's through all his hard work, he's here, and he's finally a popular person. That one, I like the first part of the story. The second part of the story, I didn't care for as much, where he's trying to take credit for getting there.
Well, if it's not true, then I'm sure he will figure that out down the road.
That kind of thing's easily given and extremely easily taken away. So yeah.
I like Christian, though, and I'm impressed with the way he's played and how well he's done. I didn't expect him to do as well in challenges as he's done. So, liking him more and more.
Yeah, like you said, it's still a scary time for Gabby. Any opportunity for doubt to creep in is a scary time for Gabby.
Well, and the thing is those guys are making it extremely obvious, not just to Gabby, but to Alison, that there's this serious bromance going on here, and that's going to threaten the women.
So what did you make of that exchange between Gabby and Alison? It's classic Gabby. Oh, woe is me. I'm scared. I'm alone.
Well,
I need you. We get another I need you speech.
Okay. Well, I wasn't as impressed by Gabby as I was with Alison's response, though Gabby might have known that the tears would work for Alison, her being a healer and a compassionate, doctor and everything. I don't know if that was strategy or just emotion, but either way it worked. Worked on Alison. It reeled her in.
You think, what if we're too cynical? What if that's genuine? That she's not trying to run a number on her, saying you're the only one who extended
you have to look
an
at
olive branch.
You have to look at both sides.
Sure.
Well, is that really strategy? Are you really thinking this ahead and planning and seeing what you can do? Or is it just your emotions coming out? But it worked as strategy anyway.
Regardless of Gabby's intentions, yes, it indeed did work from what Alison tells us. That Gabby's speech cut her to her core, and she is all about alleviating suffering. As a matter of fact, her extraordinary empathy is her medical superpower, she tells us.
Well, I didn't really expect her to go right for Dan and say that I would rather work with you and Christian. I thought, okay, I didn't see that coming. I mean, Gabby, sure, pull her in, blah, blah. But I thought, to kind of turn against her alliance and say she wanted to work with Christian, but she and Christian do really well on puzzles, and they do make an awesome team.
As she
and
said,
I guess
they're all cut from a similar cloth, being academics. Yeah.
So I thought, wow, the bros might really be hurting themselves.
And it's Dan that's in trouble. It's not John. For that, I'm thankful. Yeah, there's an interesting...
Well, and not Christian either. So.
Interesting little montage there while Alison's explaining all this, where you get Dan maybe not putting a lot of thought into it and just brute force trying to break down some firewood by slamming one tree against another of similar thickness. And then Christian, who... where Dan fails, Christian succeeds, granted with a much smaller branch of a tree instead of an actual tree trunk.
Yeah, but he used his leg. That wasn't smart any way you look at it.
Okay. Well, he did a calculation. I saw him look up.
Wrong.
He may
have
done that because he knew the camera camera was there, though.
Well, of course he did it because the camera was there. That's a given. And he does that very well. He knows where the camera is. But it was still stupid to break it against your leg.
I'm pretty sure he calculated how many newtons were required.
Don't make me poke you. You know your
Okay, so Christian succeeds where Dan fails. That's the visual story that we are provided.
I guess what surprised me most about Alison was not that she's obviously already been thinking about that, because she was like, well, it's not really a matter of if I'm going to do this, just when am I going to do it?
When am I going to blindside Dan and take him out?
Whoa, okay, that's even more powerful.
Which
she's not just talking at this point, she's
had me happy because I'm thinking about the double idle blindside.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were so into that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we got to bounce over to the Vuku tribe there on day 16. We see Kara, the chiropractic.
Well, yeah.
She was adjusting Elizabeth's back there.
I'm thinking Elizabeth walked her through that. She was just desperate.
Yeah.
Because we know I've had you crack my back.
Mm-hmm.
But only certain areas, and, what we know.
I'm good at it, but it tends to knock the breath out of you.
Well, that's true. You just go. It's like, okay, a little less hard than that.
Yeah, it's not like that, like Carol's doing.
But I wouldn't let you near my neck, that's for sure. That would be the dangerous part.
Elizabeth tells us that there's been this discussion about splitting the bamboo to make their shelter a little more comfortable to sleep in, but there's been no action, and that's what's got her upset.
Well, and she's in pain. Anytime you're in pain, that changes the whole ball game. And she's telling us she's been in pain the whole time.
So 16 days in pain.
I think she's hidden it pretty well. Though I don't know, why didn't she just
say something up front?
Either say something or say, guys, I really need to do this, so I'm going to do just one little section over here in the corner for me.
But like you
where
said,
I'm going to split it.
She's in pain. She clearly was not thinking what would be the proper or the best way to do this. She just wanted to do it.
Well, I was really surprised that Davie and Carl reacted that way. But then Carl tells us he doesn't like that. He doesn't like Elizabeth anyway. They don't really gel. So I thought, maybe that's more why they're going on about it. And because, they helped Pat build the shelter.
The way that she went about it, too.
Yeah, I was in an angry.
And like Davie said, it's not a 2-hour project. There's a fair bit of work, and this isn't the right time to start something like that when you're headed into the night, which is a fair point.
It is, but she's obviously fuming because they could have started that morning. And it's like, but you didn't say anything. You could have said something.
It's not the only place she's got to sleep. There's the hammock too. So, I mean, those can be
true, but that might hurt
cold.
It more.
Well, if you lay in it right, hammocks can be one of the more comfortable ways to rest and recline. But you have to actually know how to lay in it, which is usually more. Yeah, you probably don't know how to actually rest most comfortably.
Sleeper, that wouldn't work so good.
Yeah. So, in any case.
Pros and cons, but nonetheless.
like Davie's like, let it out. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, let it out.
blow your top. That works well on Survivor.
Works well. Yep.
Yeah.
And they got their point in. We don't really like to be awakened. We're trying to sleep here. And that was rude.
Yeah, her group decision thing really backfired on her. I think Davie jumped on that one really well.
Well, and Carl's already ready to vote her out. And, so obviously they're not thinking strictly Goliath and David either.
Who's happy? Who's happy on the Vuku trial? Kara's happy.
Woohoo!
Said there's a rift. It turns out there's not a cowboy connection after all. Happy, joy. Elizabeth said she was sorry, but I didn't believe her.
Oh, no, I didn't get that she was really sorry, but I'm sure Kara was encouraging her all the way to do what was best for her.
All right, that's pretty much the midway point. So we've been given that Angelina and Lyrsa are at risk. Dan and Gabby are at risk. And now Elizabeth and Kara are at risk, which kind of bummed me out because my vote out pick was not in that list.
Yeah, I had Alec safe to start with when I first made picks.
Okay.
But then I saw on the Facebook page today, and a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, I'm voting Alec to go, and Alec to go, and Alec to go."
So you switched for Alec to be voted out?
No, I didn't switch for him to be voted out because I didn't think he was going to be voted out. But I decided maybe I won't have him safe. It freaked me just a little bit, enough that I went back, and now I'm thinking, oh, dang it, I could have got another point off him.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh well, I let my fear get in the way of, well, what if they're right and I'll lose a safe point?
All right, yeah, this is a 2-day cycle for this episode. It's day 17, time for that immunity challenge. So we've got to carry a large saucer across some obstacles. They got to fill it up with water, come back, and dump that water into a well. And when they get the water level to a certain point, it'll drop some puzzle pieces, and then they've got to solve a circular puzzle.
Yeah, so that was extremely physical, which made you think right off the bat there, Jabeni's in trouble.
Going to have trouble, yeah. So Elizabeth and Gabby sit out of this one this time. And we get Christian futzing with something there right when Probst is trying to get the challenge started, so he has to call him out. That doesn't happen.
Well, there was just something, too, that made me wonder. I mean, he was dawdling, but it just, I don't know, the focus after they made the big deal about, you know, somebody replying when Probst did the, you know.
When Angelina called back.
Ready.
Yeah, Survivor's ready.
And I thought, oh, interesting that got highlighted again. That Christian wasn't ready.
Right.
Out of all the years, you know, they haven't usually Christian done isn't. That.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you're not ready, well, too bad for you.
Circle back to that point, aren't we? Here in just a little bit.
Oh, are we?
All right, so you got to fill that saucer up. Yeah, and just like Joanne was saying, Jabeni had a hard time with this one. So difficult, in fact, that they couldn't finish. And they had to finally give up as the last puzzle piece went in place for Vuku. Tiva just blew it completely out of the water. They were fantastic. They actually had to make one trip from what we were shown with the saucer, and they had completely filled up their well. So they managed not to spill hardly any of their water. And right out of the gate, Jabeni was doing it wrong and didn't fill it up. But they didn't fill it up because they realized they couldn't carry it if it was full.
Well, but obviously, I would think John and Dan could have carried that on their own.
Probably.
The others could have just balanced and walked across with a hand on it somewhere, or just barely touching. And
yep, they had a Goliath-like advantage.
That's where it really paid off as a team. And they seem to work really well together as a team. So, okay. But, were you surprised that Angelina said her hands were bleeding and then Mike gave out? Lyrsa actually did better than Angelina and Mike, I think.
It was, from what we were shown, it seemed that way. But yeah, eventually even poor Nick just gave up.
Well, it's like when they
I think he blew his arms out trying to compensate for them, huh?
Well, that's what I thought. That if he'd had some help. And but I thought it was pretty good with Lyrsa. Her being so short was might have been a little bit of an advantage when they went to tip it up, because she could get up under it just about and push.
That's an interesting perspective.
Because you couldn't see her. She kind of disappeared. And I thought, oh, well, she's short enough she can get up under there and really, push up, because she can fit under there.
I see.
Whereas Angelina didn't fit at all. She was too tall. But anyway, just things that go
somehow
through
you
my
made
head.
Lyrsa seem even shorter just now.
Well, speaking from my angle of things, I see the short person's side because I'm a short person.
Yeah, I don't remember a tribe in recent history failing to such an extreme measure.
Where they just had to quit.
Well, they dropped it, couldn't even pick it back up again.
Nope.
And looked over and went, oh, Vuku's only got one more piece. There's no point.
Why bother?
Yeah.
By the time we tried to pick it up and got it up, we're done.
Yeah, so they didn't even get to that final stage.
Well, that's demoralizing on every level.
Yeah.
It's like they beat them down and then kicked them. It's like, oh. I mean, they did it to themselves, but
dominant
still.
victory, yep.
Yeah. I actually felt bad for them.
Probst tells us that Tiva executed in that challenge beautifully at every stage.
Well, and
high praise from Jeff Probst.
Truthfully, Christian and Alison worked really well together doing that puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
They just seem to be in sync when they're doing that. That more than anybody else I've seen do it. Even though Kara and Alec did okay, they just didn't have that same unison that the other tribe had.
Yeah, it did seem to go smoother for them. Of course, they had a huge advantage by only having to move the saucer through once. Yeah.
Yep, they had more
at least
time.
had to do it twice. Yeah, and when Probst calls out Mike to ask him what are you thinking after your loss, and Mike tells us, well, this is an important elimination and it feels bad, and he's sorry he couldn't do more, but he tells us in the confessional that he likes everyone, all three of them, but it's not as fun as he thought the game was going to be, because he actually did like them, and he understands that this is going to have repercussions for everyone else in the game. So that was interesting to feel the whole weight of, the other 13 folks that are in the game with him. He's feeling the pressure from what his decision is going to mean to everyone. That's a lot to take on.
I thought it was kind of strange, though, that Probst asked them that question, right there at the end of the show. What kept you going when you knew you were going to lose? What kept you in there trying? And,
You mean Mike, it was strange for him to ask because they did quit? They didn't keep going? No, it was just
strange for him to bring that up right then to me.
No, he always puts people on the spot, the ones that lose. He always throws a question that way. And then we get a confessional after it. It just happened to be Mike for both of these.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was a little unusual.
Okay, we're back at the Jabeni camp. And Mike tells us those other teams, they're just muscle-bound something. They bleeped him out. He had an expletive for that. Yeah, and then he goes over again. We're 7 versus 7 right now, and this is the 2 versus 2. It's just a mini scale of what's going on in the bigger perspective of the game. It's going to impact everyone.
Okay, we're back to pre-tribal council.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about that discussion between Angelina and Mike and Lyrsa? What did you think about how Lyrsa handled that?
Well, obviously it didn't do her any good. I mean, I would have thought, just tell Angelina what she wants to hear and go, yeah, sure. So she'll quit scrambling. Just tell her, okay, yeah, I'm on board if he keeps me here.
It's the open door strategy. Keep the doors open, right? That's what we talk about that all the time. But in this case, Lyrsa shut the door right in Angelina's face.
Well, I think that's what ended up getting her, too. I mean, yeah, Mike made a decision, but it might have been different if Angelina had just let that slide, and I don't know. I just didn't think it was a good idea for Lyrsa to slam the door in her face like that and go, nope, I'm sticking with Nick.
We'll just go for a tie and draw rocks.
But I thought she was trying to tell Mike, look, I'm loyal. I thought that's why she did it.
Mm-hmm.
Is to really prove to Mike, I'm loyal. Whoever I'm loyal to, I'm loyal. And I will stick with you all the way. So I kind of thought that's why she did it, but I don't know that for sure.
Do you believe Angelina when she said that she came into that open-minded? They were both Latinas, so she was willing to consider that option.
Yeah,
getting rid of
I don't know why she would
Lyrsa.
Lie about that.
But I think her conclusion's solid, too. There's no room with Lyrsa, so let's get rid of Lyrsa.
Well, yeah, that was a solid read. It's like, okay, then.
And Lyrsa goes to Nick and says, hey, they're together. We need to see if we can get Mike on our side.
Yeah, I think they all made the moves they had to, but Lyrsa didn't give Angelina any choice but to go the other route.
She was willing to give her one thing, though. She wasn't going to give her jacket. She was very clear about that, but Angelina could have one of her socks, the one with a hole in it.
That was kind of silly.
Well, she's just trying to make a point.
Fine.
That was funny. Well, and we hear Mike discussing things, and it's clear that he's not necessarily loyal to Angelina. So, yeah, it's pretty unclear how things are going to go down.
Well, because he doesn't really trust her.
Right.
And I do think it's going to come back and bite him. If he does try to, hold the alliance with her tight, she won't hesitate to cut him. At least that's my feeling.
Yeah, I've never gotten the sense that she viewed him as a threat. He was just someone there to have the experience as long as she deemed it was okay for him to have it.
Yep.
So it's up to the Rockstar Alliance. Nick and Mike have to talk.
Well, and Nick tells us, Mike and I will decide. And I thought, nope, pretty much it'll be Mike. It's where the decision's coming from, not you and Mike.
Mike had the right question in mind. How is it good for me to get rid of Angelina? How is it good for me to get rid of Lyrsa? How's this going to work? I thought Nick was being very strategic in his answers, and I like that. He kept saying, well, let's figure out what's good for both of us. Let's figure out what's good for the tribe. Let's figure out what's good for our alliance. Those kinds of things. And it wasn't a David Goliath thing for him at all.
No, but ultimately it did turn out to be a David Goliath thing for Mike.
It did, because the weight of that consideration, what am I doing to the Goliath alliance?
Exactly.
If I take Angelina out, even though I trust Lyrsa more than Angelina, he tells us. Yeah.
So it did affect him.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers do matter. And he couldn't realistically count on anybody else on the David tribe to save him. So I do think he made the best choice that he could under the circumstances. I don't fault Mike for that decision.
Even though he felt like he was being choked out as it got tighter and tighter
even
around
though it
his
would
neck.
have been exciting. And it's not that I don't like Angelina. I think she's played a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
But
she's been one of the stars of the whole season.
It just would have been an exciting blindside.
Strategically. Yep.
For me.
Right, okay.
Even though, I'm not that invested in Lyrsa either, but I did like her. But she really wasn't an asset. But I thought they might also consider starting to get rid of stronger people, since they're counting on the merge next.
Right, so we're at Tribal Council now, and the merge definitely is a topic of discussion, isn't it?
Yep. And Jeff starts by commenting on the clear bond between the four of them.
Yep, Nick says that it's not a surprise for him. He understands it, and it's the struggles that have made that tight bond. Mike tells us the strong players here. He's the first that we get to see bringing up the merge. And he's looking for someone that he can trust to help navigate that. And if you want someone to help you navigate, it's Angelina. It's not Lyrsa. So.
Well, and she's pushing which I thought might even hurt her. Lyrsa is pointing out, you can trust me, I'm very loyal, and Angelina's saying, well, I have loyalty too, but I also have strategy.
Yep, she made it. She got to add on. She got to one up what Lyrsa was saying, basically, and said it's important to be thinking strategically. And I think she was basically saying,
well, you really need me because I'm very strategic.
I'm an asset,
I would have
Mike.
thought, you're too strategic. Let's get you out of
here. Are you
there.
scary strategic or valuable strategic?
Exactly. I thought it could backfire. But she must have, done the song and dance.
Nick says there's a war coming, and he's trying to figure out who he wants to stand and fight with. So, again, I don't think Lyrsa's going to help you anywhere in that. She's a number. She could be a vote, but she's not going to help you figure anything out, and you're desperate to figure things out.
Yeah, and I do think she would have been way more loyal. I don't doubt that for a second. So
Angelina gives us a Keith Nail reference. She's all about sticking to a plan. It's always good to reference Keith Nail. But Lyrsa doesn't let that pass. She says, yeah, everyone's got a plan.
Well, and to give Angelina some credit, she was complimenting Nick on everything, in your eyes even, and so she was still smiling and
I flash back to Todd from China and how he was always so good at being able to say the right thing at the right time to the person to tell them what they wanted to hear.
I thought it was a little
over the top,
too obvious and not subtle, but.
Yeah, Lyrsa didn't let it just slide by. It's very flattering, trying to get his vote.
Yep, that's true.
And Mike emphasizes again the theme for this episode is that you get this wrong, there's risk here. You get this wrong, and it's it's going to be important for everyone left in the game. So there's a big decision.
Probst was poking him, What if you get it wrong?
Yeah.
And I thought he knows how to stir that up a little himself.
Yeah, he's good at reading the crowd and picking some good questions.
And I think that was totally it for Mike, because it's going to affect everyone else in the game. My decision right this moment is going to affect everybody, and this isn't as much fun as I thought it would be.
Somehow, Lyrsa didn't present herself as being in need of it as much as some of the others, I guess. There's something that caused Mike to discount Lyrsa's need versus the other people's in the game to make that decision. And some must have been likewise for Nick.
And not only that, he does have other people that he likes and that he thinks likes him on the Goliath tribe. He doesn't know the other Davids at all. I think he went with the safest route for him. I do.
So how do you think he got Nick to go along with that, though? Because this wasn't necessarily the best path for Nick.
Well, because number one, Nick didn't have a choice unless he wanted to draw rocks. If Mike decided,
if they couldn't work it out,
yeah.
You know what
Bottom line.
What I would really like to see is the discussion that I guess we never get to see, which is them breaking down who do you think you have and why, and what do you think about them that makes you believe that
they
they're
would
an
accept
asset.
me into your alliance and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah,
and it would have been great to be able to hear a talk between Mike and Nick where they just listed out everyone and said, here's how I think, we can use them to get us to the end. Here's why this person's valuable, more valuable than that one. And because you got to think they did something like that with Angelina and Lyrsa. Angelina's more valuable than Lyrsa because blah. Lyrsa seemed to represent loyalty and a number, a vote, but didn't have a lot to add to the game. Her answer when faced with a difficult choice was, well, let's draw rocks.
Yeah, I don't know that they had to put that much thought into it. I don't think Mike had to put that much thought into it.
He looked like he was putting a lot of thought in it to me.
Well, he did, but not to the degree of, wondering who do you have in your pocket that would help me. I think he made it
how are we going to
completely on how the Goliaths are going to do.
I think they're both analytical people, and they had to have gone through something like that to arrive at a decision for, here's like A, B, and C for how we can do it and what these other people can represent to us. And then how does Angelina help that? How does Lyrsa help that? Either that or you just punt like Alec and go, I'm going with my gut. It's just my gut.
All right. Well, they made their decision.
Lyrsa's out.
3-1, Lyrsa's out. And Jeff tells us, time will tell if you made the right decision. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, a little Captain Obvious there right at the end. I loved Lyrsa's exit. Most positive, best exit so far. Bye, guys, she says. And then when she's talking to the camera afterwards, the thing she's most concerned about is that A, she's going to have to sit by Miss Natalie at the reunion show, and B, she's off to Loser's Lodge where she's going to have to spend more time with Natalie. That could have been a toxic environment when you think about who was there. Huh?
You know who I felt really sorry for was also Pat and Jess.
Yeah.
They've been there with Jeremy and Natalie.
Oh, and
Natalia, who were all kind of, I was like, oh, goodness.
You think they were able to let go of the game?
There's got to be some serious snark going on. Mm-hmm. And Lyrsa knew that. That I loved her line, though. That was perfect.
Yeah.
And that she'd have to sit with her again at the reunion. I thought, wow, now that, I don't know that people are thinking that far
dreading that already, yeah.
To dread that before she even gets to Loser's Lodge.
She's like, come December, I'm going to have to sit beside her again. Oh.
I thought, dang, I like you even better.
Yeah, so Mike and Nick are sad, but Angelina looks pretty happy at the end of that.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say about the episode? It was a good episode. We didn't do well in JSFL, but we just really enjoyed the episode for sure.
That's
Another
true.
6 solid in a row is the way I'm looking at it.
I typically do that way on JSFL, so that was not... I did get 1 vote off point, so... But,
Next time on Survivor, merge time, baby. It's here. They're merging at 13.
Right on schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And Angelina starts out, Christian's got to go. He is the heart of the David, so she's definitely been gathering her information.
But the next part was the most important one. What did she say?
I'm the strategic mastermind.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Goodness, this may not end well. Hubris is not generally rewarded by the survivor gods. All right, she went right to self-proclaimed strategic mastermind at the merge. She's pretty happy with making it that far, huh? Even though she dodged a bullet, she must not realize how close it just was.
So
that's got to be to Mike's credit, and some to Nick too. Then for her to think that she did that so well and escaped to being voted out herself.
I was a little bit surprised that Alec was telling Christian that he had his back.
Mm-hmm. And that they're not going to expect that. Yep.
Yeah. So, So to me that said...
Why were you surprised, though? He was the first to turn on the Goliaths. Why does that surprise you somehow?
I don't know. I wasn't sure he would try to stay with them once if he had other options back there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just surprised me. Especially since if they're observing, they can already see that, Christian kind of had a bond with the bros.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to get in on that too.
Look at that. Everyone
wanted to reassure Christian.
Yeah, everyone's basically orbiting Christian the way. It's like another brochacho. Alec is there too.
Well, and then we see Alec telling Nick, Mike, and Gabby that there's no more David and Goliath. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, that could be.
Do you believe him? Maybe going first.
Is that why he goes?
Yeah, maybe.
The others believe it.
Yeah. Maybe going first will work to his advantage in that regard.
Yeah. So it just makes me anxious for next week again. And enjoyed the episode totally.
Well, let's take a step back though. Your USB, who is that? Remind me who you have. Dan, you have, yeah.
Like you didn't. I forget, but you don't.
Dan, who amazingly has two
idols,
hidden immunity idols, who's sitting in a pretty good spot in the game.
Yeah, but now he's back with Kara, so
Yeah, you got to factor that in. His kryptonite.
Absolutely.
Yep. So he'll be sure to tell her and probably other people about the second idol. Don't you think he's going to tell her?
I don't know, probably.
I bet he tells her within the first 60 seconds. They
may not show us
of reuniting on the beach. He's going to hug her and go, I found a second idol.
I got you now.
I'm going to start a stopwatch as soon as they meet on the beach to see how long it takes.
Well,
so you're going to stay with him? Because at the merge, not after this coming episode.
I don't know. I really hadn't thought about it.
After the merge, you have an option to switch.
Yeah, I hadn't intended to. We know how bad I am about changing if they're still in the game.
I thought you were pretty clear that you were going to switch earlier.
I seriously have not really. I forget. I just kind of let go of him and hadn't really thought about it. And I won't think about it until after I see how the merge pans out a little bit. And then I'll decide. But I don't know. I doubt it, but I don't know.
Were you to switch, who would it be?
I don't know that either.
Who is high on your radar?
I've not had any time to consider it.
Who do you think's playing the best game right now?
Why are you asking me all these questions? Brain not working.
Okay, we'll skip ahead. We'll let you mull on that a little bit.
How about you tell everybody what you were thinking?
About who's playing the best game? I think Angelina's played a stellar game. Christian is obviously...
Who's your USB?
My USB is John, who's an under the radar for sure.
And are you planning to stay with John?
I am right now, yeah. Because I still see a lot of potential there. Yeah. And I think he's being featured, but he's not being over-featured. So he's not an over-the-top kind of character in that regard. So he doesn't seem primed for booting. I don't think people are thinking about him right now. And certainly from next time on Survivor, they're not thinking about him as a target. The discussions around, right, Christian, so, and possibly Dan from what we were given this week.
I don't know. I might choose Christian, which I would have never thought he could win, but I don't know.
The other person that's been playing super well up until this episode is Elizabeth, but we see that Elizabeth actually delivered on the way we initially perceived her in the Jabek's show, which was alienating, and her pain has led her to alienate her alliance to the point that they would be happy to vote her out.
Well, they certainly would have right then.
Yeah, had they gone to tribal council, I don't doubt that she would have gone.
And I think that Carl and Davie are probably pretty solid, but we know Davie will flip around as he needs to. I don't know about Carl.
Davie's got an idol. Carl's got the idol nullifier. We haven't seen any conversation about either one of those. We were kind of thinking that they were going to Super Twins unite those powers to go in for a big play, but we haven't been given anything about that today.
You know, they've not been featured hardly at all lately. So I don't know if they're saving all that. It's coming up. But we don't see them strategizing much or talking about the game overall. Or Carl's pretty quiet. He gets stuff in the extra videos, but
he's under the radar too. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's a big player. At least certainly hasn't been featured at all through the first 6 episodes.
But
which we're one more and we're halfway through.
Well, I guarantee you, if he shares with Davie that he has the nullifier, Davie's going to help him strategize. So.
Yeah, so I think those are the standouts. Yeah, we'll talk some more about it in the JSFL. Yep. Okay. How about a JSFL update, speaking of JSFL?
I can do that. Jules and Nina are tied in first with 27 points. We had 2 people lose their USB 24. 73 people lost a safe point this week, and 56 people gained a vote-off point.
All right. Good on you.
Congratulations.
Yep.
For the side challengers, we have Jay Kindred in first place alone with 26 points.
Okay.
With 24 points, Cold Mike, Jonathan, and Stacy.
Yep.
23, Drew, Jeremiah, and Parker. With 22 points, Iron Dave and Rodney. And with 21 points, Brandon and James and Shannon.
All right. Wait a minute. What's the last one again?
What?
Do the last one again.
21 points, Brandon and James and Shannon.
James and Shannon have actually caught up.
Yes,
they're not in the basement alone anymore, even though they completely missed out on the first round of points.
The first round, yep. They caught up.
Good job. Look out, Brandon.
They caught you, Brandon, and they're only one point behind Iron Dave and Rodney. So
yeah, I think I actually reported that Brandon had more points than he really did last week, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you weren't here to help.
That's what happens.
When you're not here.
When I'm not here and you looked at it wrong.
Okay.
But I did catch it as soon as I looked at it.
Yep.
I'm sure Brandon knew.
Wait a minute. No, maybe he was happy and celebrating for a little while. I brought a little bit of happiness to his life. A little joy.
Honey, this says Brandon possible. Got 6 points, and that's not
I looked
possible.
At the wrong Brandon. Sorry. I went to Brandon from Alabama instead of Brandon A. from Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's a legitimate mistake. Come on.
Well, not for you, because you know the difference. So,
but you see, Brandon from Alabama, that's Brandon A.
You were doing your best in a difficult situation. You did fine.
Okay, thank you.
And I fixed it.
All right. Anything else you want to say about the episode?
I don't think so. I just want to wish everyone a happy Halloween.
Yes, happy Halloween.
I'm very grateful that the doorbell hasn't rang while we're trying to record.
Yeah, we got lucky here. Although we don't usually get a barrage.
No,
we're not in one of those neighborhoods that gets hit by a ton of folks. We get a trickle sometimes.
Though you have your top hat with the bones and skulls ready.
I am.
And the candy's by the door.
Yeah, should they come by. I got to have my trick-or-treat moment earlier in the week.
That's true.
And it's kind of, here's how it ties into Survivor for these folks that are out there. This is a dream, some of them a lifelong dream. And for me, I've been able to realize a lifelong dream, which was to learn music and then be able to share that. And so, yeah, we got to play the ukulele group in the local area here that I'm a part of. We did a Halloween show for some seniors here nearby, and I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about Survivor and all the challenges and how, the lifelong dreams for them. And I thought, wait a minute, I had a little small lifelong dream thing that I got to realize on Monday, which was really cool. So I enjoyed playing Halloween songs, and researching Halloween songs is all a part of this.
Well, truthfully, you MC it, and you do it so beautifully with all the backstories about the songs, and you entertain the folks, and you're very sweet to them, and you hand out candy and make. I think that's
the big part right there at the end. All. Just like Angelina, she was handing out some candy to Nick. I got to hand out real candy to the folks who came to listen to us sing and play.
So he does it very sweetly, and I'm very proud of him.
Oh, thank you. Yep, it's like I said, it was a dream to be able to do that. I had no musical background really, and the last 4 years I've been studying and learning, and now I'm able to share some of that joy with others. That's been really good, and that's really the peak Halloween moment for me, I think, when it comes to Halloween.
Good job, baby.
Yeah, and speaking of the episode and lifelong dreams, it might be your lifelong dream to send in something to our listener feedback show, and we'd love to have you be a part of the Survivor Fans podcast. Joanne and I, we've gone through the broad strokes of the recap here. We're ready to turn that over to the other Survivor super fans. You can call in the voicemail line 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. You can record it on your own. That's a way to get the best audio quality usually, or you can write it up if you're not quite comfortable yet with your voice on the podcast, although we encourage you to do that, to work your way up to it.
I'm not comfortable with mine either, so.
Well, there you go. There's that. So do that. We look forward to hearing from you. Want you to keep it in that 3-minute mark. Try to find somewhere quiet if you can. That works out best and gives us more usable material. And 3 minutes means, and we've had some great listener feedback shows this season.
Absolutely.
That we can fit everyone in without it becoming overwhelming. So, yeah, we look forward to hearing from you. Anything else you'd like to add?
Good night, everybody.
Happy Halloween.